I think we're there. Oh, we are live. It's Friday. Woohoo! Hey, Laura, how you doing?
Doing great. Happy TGIF to everybody. It's going to be a beautiful weekend in the Chicagoland area. I just want
Absolutely.
to tell you, we are going to talk about a subject that Deb and I are really passionate about. And just so we start off saying, before I start getting into it, just know we're not experts on anything. This is just something we feel passionate about, but we have done research on because of what our beliefs are. And then we're not saying everybody has to listen to what we have to say, but a lot of you might have already experienced some of this. What we're going to talk about is signs, signs from up above. Whether you believe it or not, I've been very fortunate, as well as Debbie, to have some experience with this. So we thought we would bring to you different types of signs from angels or from people that have passed on, or any kind of a sign. And so with that, Debbie, I'm going to have you start it off. Okay, thank you.
Sounds great. You know what? Lori and I have a list of different signs we're going to talk about. And then when we talk about all this, Lori and I both have some stories that we want to share that we feel we know without a shadow of a doubt. We compare stories and we're just like, our minds just are blown by like how incredible it can be. But before we start going through all this, I just want to say that sometimes, and it's happened to me and Lori together, and it's happened to us separately. Sometimes all of a sudden something will pop into our head. Oh my goodness, I should give so and so a phone call. Or oh my goodness, I wonder how so and so is. And we reach out to that person, and that person, for whatever the reason may be, the person may be in need of talking to somebody, they may be in need of help, they may be going through a challenge that they didn't want to share, they may have been thinking of us, saying that oh my goodness, you've been on my mind too, and I've been thinking, never made that challenge. So I'm going to challenge every one of you as we get started here and we go through this, that if you feel like somebody's on your mind a lot, don't text them is okay, guys, but pick up the phone and call them and be like, hey, how's it going? How are you doing through this pandemic? How are you doing in life? Let's catch up. And I think if we can touch on, every one of us touch on one or two people over this weekend, it's going to make a difference. So with that, I'm just going to start off with the first one and then share it over to Lori. I don't know if you've ever been somewhere and all of a sudden you see a bird feather. Okay. And a bird feather is supposed to be commonly known as signs from angels. Now, think about it. Okay. If you believe in angels and if you don't, just hear us all out on everything that we're going to share. But a feather is such a cool thing. And if you ever looked at a feather closely, every feather is different. They're all, pretty cool. But I could sometimes have a stress point going on, and all of a sudden I'll be walking down the driveway or riding my bike on the street and I'll see one single feather, and I know who that feather is from. And with that, Laura, I'm going to turn it to you.
I just want to say something real quick about the feathers. I've actually talked to a couple of people and they're like, well, we have a lot of birds around our area. That's why there's feathers. But you know what I was reading was that a bird is a sign from God, a sign of life from God. So it doesn't matter if you have a lot of birds around you. If you get feathers by you, it's a message for you that somebody's thinking of you, or an angel, or it could be somebody, a lost one. But with that, I am going to go to something that I'm really passionate about, and that is orbs. I don't know if you know what an orb is. Orb is a round circle, okay? And an orb could be you could see it sometimes. It comes out in pictures. For example, you take a picture and all of a sudden you have a circle in there of white. It could be white. It could be all different colors. Aqua, blue. There's even like a reddish color one. And those are actually signs of the spirit, and that they're sending you a message. And I'll get into it when we talk at the end of my experiences with that. But have you ever taken a picture and have something strange in the picture and you're wondering what it is? Well, if it's a circle and it's got color in it, most likely it's an orb. And they're found a lot in cemeteries because there's spirits there. They're found a lot in areas where you wouldn't think they would be at. I actually saw something. I was looking on the internet where it was an old museum that they had in the security camera orbs like actually flying around in the museum. And you can look that up on the internet. There is so much on orbs. With that, Deb, I'm going to bring it over to you to suggest another one.
Okay, sounds good, Laura. And let me just tell you, I can't wait to have Lori share her story because I definitely have seen. She shared. I took pictures of her somewhere, and I didn't know what they were. And when she knew more and told me, I've just been so into it and have shared this information with so many other people who have also have them in their pictures. It's crazy. But you know what I've experienced too is a gentle breeze. Okay, so you could be in a hot environment and all of a sudden you feel a whoosh come by and you know there's no trees around you. You know, and you could be indoors or wherever and you feel this. And it happened to me even yesterday. I was in my house and right by my kitchen, I felt a whoosh. And I know who that was, you know? So it's interesting. And they even say warm, you know? So um, that's pretty cool. And Laura, I'm turning it back to you.
Yeah, okay. Well, let me see. There's a lot of flickering lights.
Hmm.
You know, if you see like the lights flickering, have you ever been somewhere and the lights flickered and then nothing happened? Well, they're saying that's actual signs too of angels or somebody, you know, that has passed on. But flickering lights, and Deb and I'm going to talk about another thing at the same time. And I can't remember where we put that under, Debbie, but the thing about the time.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Uh, for example, have you ever looked at your clock and it was a certain time, and maybe a few minutes later you look at your clock and it's like an hour and a half later? You know, sometimes that could be a sign of an angel or that they're trying to get your attention. That's the whole thing with angels and people from that have passed on. They're trying to get your attention. And I was also reading that angels don't always like to be discovered. So they're kind of discreet a little bit. That's
Hmm.
why some you don't see them. And
Right.
actually, I was also reading that angels are not like what you think they are with the feathers and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, they are, that's a symbol that we know, but actually angels are lights, are a
Mhm.
form of light. So when you get that unusual light somewhere, that could be an angel or, something giving you a message.
Mhm.
We just have to be aware of all this stuff. We live in a crazy life where we're always in a hurry all the time and we don't see these signs. But I bet you now after this, you're going to look for signs and it's going to be amazing how many signs you have coming to you. With that, Debbie, I'm going to send you over to you
Oh,
again.
all right, well, here's one that's on our list, and it's called rainbows. How many rainbows have we seen? Oh my goodness, you guys. Honestly, sometimes we'll see a rainbow, and we know that sometimes there's a storm, and then all of a sudden there's a rainbow. But apparently, rainbows are very common. They're supposed to be a symbol of divine love. Okay, and when you ask for assistance, have you ever been in a spot and you think to yourself, and guys, I've done this. Okay. I wish my mom was right here. I wish I could ask her a question. How would she have handled this? How would she have taken care of this? Or what would she have said? Right. And all of a sudden, there's a peaceful feeling of some sort, but you end up seeing an a rainbow. It doesn't even have to be, it says on here, doesn't even have to be raining. Sometimes there's a spectacular sign from angels bringing encouragement and validation from the heavens. And I think that is so cool because you never driving down the road and you see a rainbow, or you look in your backyard and you see one. So I've always said that after the storm comes a rainbow. So it can
Yeah,
even be after the frustration or after the hardship or after the what you're trying to hopefully work through, whether it's stress or not. There's a rainbow. So Laura, I'm going to turn it back to you.
yeah, thank you, Debbie. That's great. Rainbows are one of my favorites. And I think it's interesting how they said that a rainbow could appear without even a storm. I thought that
Hmm.
was so interesting. That's never happened to me. I'd like to experience that. Well, the next one I have is coins. And I always find it fascinating because, I mean, how many times are you walking somewhere and there's a coin on? You ever pick up a penny and
Mhm.
see what it says, "In God we trust."
Mhm.
You know, I cannot throw out a penny because I just feel like that's a symbol from God, you know, like God's trying to say something. Plus, you can't throw something that says, "In God we trust."
Right.
So, but pennies and nickels and all that could be signs again of
Right.
our families that have passed on, or angels that are trying to get our attention. There's so many different signs there, you know. And I'm going to go on to the next one, Debbie.
Go
I'm not
ahead.
in order. I'm sorry, but
Oh, it doesn't matter.
voices. Have you
Mhm.
ever heard a voice and you think you hear a voice calling your name and you look, it's not, you can't find who it is. Well, sometimes the angels do stuff like that, and you know, our guardian angels are with us all the time. I suggest you look up all this stuff. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. And I think after you would read and look into this stuff, you would also feel kind of a confidence that you're
Mhm.
safe. You know, it's like
Mhm.
it's a good thing. You know. So
Mhm.
with that, Debbie, I'm going to send it over to you again.
I'm looking at something here too on our list, and I'm jumping forward a smidgen, but sometimes some of you may be thinking, okay, well, okay, I believe you too, because we
Yeah.
tr- okay, we don't we are our we don't build our life and trust on lying or anything. Okay, Lori and I are very open people, but maybe you're saying, but this has never happened to me, and you have, and I don't want to say you have doubt, okay, which has never happened to you, and it says that you can ask for a sign. And I have done that before, you guys. I've literally done that before. And I've said, show me a sign to tell me I'm making the right decision, or I'm viewing this right, or open my mind. And honestly, you guys, I have a rose bush outside, and roses, flowers. I think I've always loved flowers, but when I got to be friends with Lori, I think I loved them even more because her family business with the flowers, and we would come visit her at work, and flowers are just the coolest thing. I look at how individual and beautiful they are, but like I have rose bushes, and sometimes I'll be like, okay, show me a sign, and then there's a couple roses that just blooms, and I think, okay, and they're out of the blue, like they weren't there yesterday but they're there today or whatever. So I feel like we all have to open up our belief, and if you don't believe, you can't expect it. You have to just open up your mind. So with that, Lori, I'm turning it back to you. I just felt like that was kind of
Oh,
something
yeah,
that.
that's great. You know what? There's a lot more, but we have so many personal experiences we want to talk about. And I've been so fortunate in my life to have so many experiences. And it makes me feel so good because I know that I'm being protected and
Mhm.
that. So, but with that, I'm going to talk about orbs a little bit more. Okay. I go to a cemetery in Hillside called Queen of Heaven. And over there in the early 90s, they had apparitions and they saw the Blessed Mother, and a lot of people had some sightings of stuff. Well, I go there and there's a cross, and I just start taking random pictures around the cross. I can't see nothing in the sky, and I take pictures of the sky and just around there. And I started getting the orbs. First, it came into the sun turned into a dove, and on top of the dove was an orb. And I didn't know what orbs were until somebody told me that it was a sign for me. So then I started taking pictures and going back in old pictures and found out that I was getting orbs in the pictures. And they're a bluish turquoise. And I'm going to share some of them on our site so you could see them and don't think I'm crazy. But I looked up the definition of what that means, and it means tranquility and peace and trying to be, and they're trying to tell me to be more confident in myself because I have a lot of insecurities. So that's the messages that I'm getting. But it was amazing because I brought my granddaughter over there on Sunday, and I took pictures of her, just random pictures, and here was an orb that was following her. And that made me feel so good because you always want your grandchildren to be safe and that the guardian angels are watching over them. And I feel that that's what the sign was, that guardian angels watching over her. And it could even be the Blessed Mother. So it's amazing. But I'll show those pictures. But another thing going back to orbs is I know somebody that lost their husband and the boy lost his father. And they were fishing in Florida. And they sent me the picture of him fishing. It was a video. And all of a sudden I noticed that there was an orb like following him as he was casting in the water. Like it was like actually like following him. And so I said to my friend, I said, you know what? That's an orb. I bet you it's your husband that passed away that's guiding your son and kind of helping him fish. It was amazing. And then I have I'm sorry, I'm going on with
Oh,
stories. You want me to go to you, Deb, or you want me to
no, finish because you're on the. I know what you're gonna say. Go ahead.
Okay, no, then I want to tell you a story years ago. A friend of mine from church got married, and her husband was deceased, and the groom's wife was deceased. And they were getting married, and my son sang in the wedding, and we were at the church, and all of a sudden, from nowhere, a butterfly came on and went on her shoulder and would not leave while they were doing their vows. It was amazing. And it was almost like she felt like it was her former husband and his former wife were saying it was okay for the wedding. And then my son had to go retrieve it because it would not get off of her. It was amazing. Chances of a butterfly landing and just stains. Yeah, it's just absolutely amazing. But we get signs all the time. I'll give you one more sign and then I'm gonna bring it over to Debbie. One time I was sitting in a car and my boyfriend came by me and I said, "Do you smell the roses in the car?" And he says, "No." I says, "There's smell of roses in the car." And he says, "You know what?" He goes, "That's a sign for you, Lori. That's a sign from the Blessed Mother." I'm Catholic, so I am really into the Blessed Mother. She's a very, very special to me, but it could be anything. You could smell something and it could be an angel. I mean, you know what it is, again, like Deb and I said, we're so busy in our lives, we don't take the time. And once you start knowing this stuff, you're going to be amazed about how many things that you're going to do. I mean, and getting into feathers. One time we went out our front door here, and then we live in a condo, and so we're inside, and there was a feather by the front door. And we find feathers all the time. Okay, my last one, Deb, and then I'm bringing
Go for it. Go for it.
This is really amazing. My granddaughter and I were at the bus stop, okay? And we were like waiting at a bus stop at a very busy road, okay? And so my granddaughter kept jumping all over the place. And I said to her, "You got to stop jumping because you're going to land in the street and get hurt." So she decided to do a big jump. And as she was jumping, a white feather went right past her and landed by her feet as she fell. Wow. And I said to myself, "Well, her guardian angel is watching over her because she's going to fall in the street." So I am so fortunate to have all these amazing things. And I hope you look into it. And Deb, go ahead. You can tell any of your stories.
Well, first of all, I'm glad you brought up the story about the butterfly because my mother had this thing about butterflies. Okay?
Heads up. Narrator keyboard changes. Narrator heading, exiting narrator.
I don't know what's going on.
Okay, no problem. Don't worry. It's somebody's talking to us. But anyway, so my mother really was into butterflies. There's a few significant things. If you guys, anybody that knows me well, my mother was really into like I call it the leopard print stuff, and I have some of her items that she has, and I'm really into that, and my girls really love it. And it's kind of weird how we have such a love for that, but we have this thing about butterflies, and all of us love butterflies. So I'm glad that you shared that. But I have to share this story. So my mom's been gone 21 years. It's a difficult thing, but I feel like I can talk about it now. Like previously it would be more difficult, but at my mother's funeral, the church that we were at, there's this big, huge window, like up at the top, okay? And I happened to look up, and there was two white birds kind of just looking down, okay? So now, interesting story. I hit my aunt, my godmother was, her sister had passed before her, but also my mom's other sister-in-law passed the same day that my mom did. It's very kind of interesting, okay? So, anyways, so that had happened, and I never thought too much about it, but then I started to learn a little bit more about birds and stuff, and how like they tend to sometimes appear. And that I had listened to a pastor talk about a story one time, and he talked about this reoccurring bird that used to come to his yard, and he talked about he felt like it was someone significant, one of his family members. So anyways, anytime I'm outside, sometimes when my kids are playing ball or wherever we were, and I'd see a bird, I'd go, oh, there goes my mom, or there goes whatever, or there goes my mom and my aunt, or, whatever and stuff. And I started to really like, kind of like, that was just the thing I would think of. Okay. So now I'm going to change it a little bit and kind of explain something. We were going through a little stressful point. Now this might sound kind of insignificant, but it really does make sense. My middle daughter had been was going to a wedding and could not find a dress to wear. Okay. And it's kind of funny. She's like, Mom, will you go with me? I've gone to every single mall. I've been to every store. I've been online. I've checked everything out. This is about 3.5, 4 years ago. And she said, the only place I can think of to go would be go into the city, go to Bloomingdale's. That's the only store I haven't checked because there's nothing out in the suburbs. Would you go with me? And so we made this time to go, and everything was fine and good. And me and her love to go to the city and go get coffee or lunch or do whatever. Well, at the last minute, it turns out that I had to watch my grandson. And at the time, he was in a stroller, very small, still in diapers, and more of a handful. Okay. And so when she had found out, she was really mad. So she's like, you're not spending time with just me. And Jessica, if you're listening to this story, you're probably laughing, okay, because it turns out so good. So the whole way down to the city, there was like not a peep in the car. She kind of was just, and I get it, when you want to spend time with somebody, and then all of a sudden that happens and you don't get that time together, and I value that. Trust me, I value that time. So we're heading in, and we're just on, at the time, the Congress, it's called Ida B. Wells now, and I'm coming up to Michigan Avenue, and I mean, it's like you could drop a pin in the car and not hear anything. And I look up as I'm turning, and on the top of the light pole are two white birds. And I look up there, and in my mind, all I could say is, I felt this peace over me, like it was unbelievable. And I thought, they're probably just saying, you got this, keep going, make your left-hand turn. Bloomingdale's is down the way, and get there, right? So we get to Bloomingdale's, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm praying that Mariano is just being good, okay? And I got him in the stroller, and we go to the dress department, and I said to her, you look, and I'll keep walking around in the stroller to amuse him, right? And so I'm walking around, and then she goes, where are you? I need to try dresses on. And so we all three go into the dressing room to have her try on dresses. The very first dress she puts on, it looked amazing. The price point was amazing. She fell in love with it and said, oh, this is it. And I looked at her, and I was just like, I mean, the emotion that came over me at that point was like, oh my goodness. And it just felt so good. And then she ends up buying a second dress, opens up a Bloomingdale's charge, and gets like 20% off, walked out of there with two dresses when she thought would have been the price of one practically, and happy as could be. And she was in a really good mood. We ended up going and getting some lunch with Mariano, got him ice cream, and made our way home. And it was just the best thing ever. And then she eased down on it, and she knew I couldn't help the way that this whole situation happens and stuff like that. But I just knew without a shadow of a doubt that they were there helping me and helping her, So anyways, I have so many stories, but I know that we could go on and on, but I want to also say one thing. I want to say something. And I didn't say this to Lori, and I know, Lori, you'll be okay with this. If somebody has a story they want to share, as long as you guys fit the guideline of what we say, no political, no negative. We're being cautious. We're very open about saying that we have a very good faith and everything, but we're not preaching or anything like that. But if you have a story that you want to let people know about, I don't have a problem with this. I'm sure Lori wouldn't. You can do a little live video and post it, because people don't understand it in a text as much as when you're able to share the story. So if you do have a story you want to share, feel free. If you've got some other little story too that you want to just like write, or if you've got pictures, like Lori's going to post those pictures. Holy cow, guys. Another thing that's so cool about pictures is, have you ever taken a picture and it's up in the clouds? And I know Gary has pictures on top of Lori's boyfriend. My brother, I have, everybody, where you look up and you look in the cloud and you see praying hands, or you see angel wings, or you see the face of, Jesus, whoever. It is the coolest thing. Feel free to, as long as that is a positive situation that we totally support, please go ahead and post it. These are things that we love to share, and maybe not everybody believes everything on this group that we're saying, but I would assume most people would. And I feel confident to say that we encourage it, and we love it. We love it. We love seeing, experiences, or whatever it may be. And also, before I turn it back to Lori, I just want to say, you guys, we're so excited. We keep getting more and more. I know we've been starting to hit some more unique subjects that we're interviewing. We have a couple more very unique ones coming up real soon here, but we're going to try to go into that. And then I think one other thing that Lori and I will probably get into too is maybe get some more people on there with some, healthy cooking, mindful things. Cause like now, we're in summer, and then we're going to transition into fall, and it's always a different cooking, type thing. There's a lot of stuff we're going to do, and I feel like we are hitting a good group of people, and we ask you, please share us. We want to get out there and touch more lives. And with that, Lori, thank you again for being my little co-host here with these two crazy chicks that come up with all these subjects that we have so much fun with. And with that, I want to turn it back to you.
Oh, Debbie, you're wonderful. I wouldn't have been able to do this without you. Like Deb and I talked about, we're not experts on it. This is our passion. And we wanted to share this with you because I think it's really important, especially when times are really kind of hard right now, with everything uncertain. But, again, please share it with everybody. Put pictures on there. I want to see pictures of like maybe stuff that you have found where there's angels and stuff. But like I said, we could have gone on and on and on. There's so much there, and we can continue this again another time.
Yeah.
And you guys have a great weekend. Look for the feathers, look in the clouds, look everywhere, and you will be so surprised what you'll see. So with that, I want to say, have a great day. Thanks, Deb. Love you.
Love you too. Talk to you soon, guys. Bye-bye.